Hello again, it's Rafael Gutierrez, and today I'm going to finish my talk on self-defense. Now, one of the big things that I want to talk about now is weapons. Now, a lot of people think, well, if I get a weapon, well, I have all the advantage. But the question I want to ask is, where do most people keep their weapons? Working at a community college and universities, I found out that a lot of women who have mace or pepper spray, they'll keep it in their purse. And when I ask them, so are you carrying it outside when you walk into the car, they say, no, I have it in my purse. Which, if you think about it, that means that if they get attacked, they have to say, excuse me, Mr. Assailant, let me get in my purse so I can use some pepper spray on you. A lot of people think, well, you just buy it, that's it, you don't have to worry about it. The truth is, if you're buying any self-defense type weapon, you do need to train with it and train consistently with it. If you just go to a one-day seminar and that's it, that's not going to necessarily do what you need to be able to use a weapon. And there's a lot of other weapons. A lot of different weapons you can use. We can talk about pepper spray, the Kobutan, the tasers. All of them have limitation, and the big thing with them is if you are going to use a self-defense weapon, know that if you have it in a pocket or a purse, that's probably not the best place for it. If you think you're going to need it, you better have it out. Now, I want you to watch this video, which is of Ino Santos, one of the great Filipino stick fighters, also one of Bruce Lee's students, showing you what happens to police when they try to defend a knife with their gun.
At close distances, your only realistic option for controlling a suspect is empty-hand tactics. Yet when officers are asked how they would control a knife attacker, they usually say, I'd shoot him, forgetting that they may not have time to in reality. Because time and distance work for the offender and against the officer. With a reactionary gap of about 1 foot or less, it's impossible for you to react quickly enough to even touch your holstered sidearm once the attack begins. At about 5 feet, the average officer can't even get his sidearm unholstered. Unless your sidearm or baton is already out, you'll have to rely on physical control at 5 feet or less. At about 10 feet, you might get your sidearm out, but you probably won't get a shot off. A suspect with a knife can close 7 paces and deliver deadly force in less than 1 1/2 seconds.
If you notice, the police has to pull out their gun, aim, and shoot. With pepper spray, you do have to pull it out, aim, and press the trigger. And if you watch the video I did on the effects of epinephrine, you'll actually notice that I mentioned how it decreases fine motor skills, which means if you have to use your finger like this, it's probably not going to work as well. Your thumb may work a little better, but still you have to pull it out, aim, and spray. And there is actually one thing that has happened. People have sprayed themselves. This is the wind change or self-defense weapons. You need to prepare for them. You need to have them ready when you think you're going to need them. Now, I would also tell you, if you think you're going to need a self-defense weapon, why are you going that direction? Now, a lot of people will tell me, well, you have the right to go where you want. And that's true, you do. But like I made a comment in the last video, I have the right to leave my computer in my car, my laptop computer in my car. But when it gets stolen, I wouldn't be surprised. So if you're going to places where it might be dangerous, try to avoid them. And if you can't, try to find ways around it. For instance, I have taught at universities, community colleges, and one of the things that happens in all these places is you can call the campus police to help you get to your car. That way, if you're worried about an assault, they can help you out. I would also, if you don't feel like doing that, or if it's going to take them too much time to get to you, I would also recommend getting in groups and walking to a car together, maybe driving. If you walk in pairs, you can drive the other person to their car after. That way it's not one person, but 2. Which if there's a group of 4, well, you're still outnumbered, but you at least have a little bit on that. Some people say, well, so is one self-defense class enough? And I would say no. I would say you would want to go, if you are doing self-defense class, you do want to tell people, look, this is the basics. Is this going to help you? Maybe. But to really get enough, to really make it worthwhile, I would actually tell people to a month every day. I would tell them a month, at least a month, once a year, to refresh everything that you do learn. The other thing is to make sure that it does work with what you're doing. Now, that's all I really am going to talk about the self-defense. I hope if you're doing a seminar, some of this stuff, some of my ramblings help. The other thing I actually want to talk about is at the end of the March, I am going to be doing a train trip from here, San Diego, all the way to, well, my brother lives in near Oakland, so I'm going to end up going there. And what I wanted to do is this. I want to tell you guys that if you have a dojo, or if you're around Santa Barbara, San Luis Obispo, I think it's Monterey, Oakland, I really would love to meet other martial artists. And there's an idea I've always had. And Malamag, the online magazine, has actually talked about how there's a martial arts lifestyle. And one of the things that's actually kind of interesting, which I always thought that I've always wanted to do, is in the old Japanese warrior tradition, there was something called the Musha Shugyo, which pretty much translates to the austere trip. It's pretty much, if you think of European knights, it would be a knight's errant. Now, I don't expect to find the Holy Grail or anything like that, but I always wanted to do one of these, and this is actually my attempt to do it. And I'm going to try to take the train, so I'm not going to have a car. I'll probably be using public transit whenever I can, try to get to different places. I'll probably stay in small hotels or hostels on my way up. And that's actually what I'm trying to do, is meet martial artists along the way. I'm not expecting to go into duels, but that's one of the things I wanted to do with the trip. And I actually wanted to read, when I was thinking of doing the trip, I really thought of something that I wrote on my book, Cereus and the Rarest Things. And I'm hoping you guys don't mind if I read this to you, and maybe this book actually was me on my trip to Okinawa, if anyone's interested. I try to get as much of Okinawan culture in it, but I don't know what people think about it. Some people have read it, some people haven't, but this is actually page 3. Decades ago, travelers set out alone on remarkable errands. They traveled long and near. Sometimes they traveled along the arterial grooves formed by rivers of forest gardens. Other times they forged pristine paths. For a while they saw no other humans, no companions. Even the squirrels and birds hid from those lone figures. One solo adventurer, a bushi, only saw circad palms and the tall chartreuse pines and the jade banyan trees that hid red-haired sprites. That one found a clearing, within it a school. He asked the instructor, "What do you teach here?" Then looked at the sky filled with life-giving clouds. "I am of this root," the sensei smiled as he held an ink brush. "Come, we will learn together." The bushi trained under him and his teacher's friends. During his long stay, they formed bonds of family. Then, the day his training had come to its conclusion, the sky was sapphire. The sun flares were brilliant. The waterfalls from such far-away origin sparkled and continued on their way. The leaves were so verdant, and the pristine pink sakura flowers were in bloom. There were singing birds and many giant white butterflies fluttering as cicadas emerged from the earth and sun. Finally, a trained bushi walked out, carrying all he owned. A lone tear rolled and trailed off his whiskered cheeks to fall, a solitary raindrop, onto a dirt path. He waved to his teachers and friends and promised to return. Feet fell heavy, crushing the blades of grass as he walked in solitude. That was long ago, in another land, long before my teachers' teachers were students. Even when those strips were common, they were romanticized. History knew that things had never been that way. Life was always routine. Now that's one of the passages from my book. I hope you enjoy it, and if you're interested, I'm putting a discount code here. It's available on Amazon or CreateSpace. I think this code works only on CreateSpace. And what I'm hoping to do is I am hoping to do these trips. I'm hoping to write about these trips and videotape them, so you guys will be, not videotape them, I guess, record them so I can actually show you where I'm going, how I'm doing it. And hopefully if I meet some of you, I can have you guys on my channels too. Thank you for your time, and I know this was short. I'm trying to make a couple different things. Be seeing you.